Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're going to be doing a Generaider deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that is currently one of my favorite decks to play with just how easy it is to summon out your Generaider boss monsters and go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched for a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Har, Generaider Boss of Storms. This card is an amazing boss monster that has the ability you can only control 1 copy of Har. And all of your Generaider boss monsters actually share that common effect that you can only control 1 copy of each, which is a really cool effect. This card also has the ability once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase, quick effect, you can make your opponent send a monster from their hand or field to the graveyard, their choice, which is a crazy powerful effect. And when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you contribute 2 Generaider and or Spellcaster monsters to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card, which is a really cool effect. This card is also a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Mardell. Mardell is definitely a one-of in the build because this card is actually a searcher, and she has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Generaider card or a plant monster from your deck to your hand, which is great to be able to add any Generaider card you need, like our field spell, from our deck to our hand. We then play a single copy of Utgard. Utgard is great for spot removing cards off the field because this card has the ability that quick effect, you contribute 2 Generaider monsters and or rock monsters to be able to target a card on the field and banish it, which is great to be able to deal with cards on the field. We then play a single copy of Needhog. Needhog is great because this card is also a walking negate that has the ability that when your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you contribute a Generaider monster or a worm monster to negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster or monsters, which is a really cool effect. We then play a single copy of Hela. Hela is basically walking monster reborn, but this card is really good as a one-of in the build because quick effect, you can actually treat a Generaider monster or a zombie monster and then target a Generaider monster or a zombie monster in your graveyard with a different name than the treated monster had on the field and special summon that monster in defense position, which is really cool to get the exact Generaider monster you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Vala. Vala is one of those powerful cards in the entire deck and helps you unbreak your hand if you open up too many bosses, which is pretty rare, but it does help you out because you're gonna inevitably open up a Generaider boss and you don't want to see them in your hand, but Vala helps you out with that a lot because it gets them out of your hand and gets them on the field. Because this card has the ability that you can, if this card is in your hand or grave, send one other Generaider card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And if this card is special summoned, you can actually special summon a Generaider monster from your hand or graveyard, except a copy of Vala, which is a great effect to be able to use to instantly get one of your Generaider bosses out of your hand and into the graveyard, while also bringing Vala back, and then using Vala's ability to bring them back to your side of the field so you can make a rank 9 play, which is just super easy to do with Vala, and it helps you get your Generaider bosses out of your hand, into the graveyard, and then back onto the field, which is just super helpful. We then play 3 copies of Lopter. Lopter is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card has the ability that during your opponent's turn, all Generaider monsters actually gain 1,000 attack and defense points, which is a really cool effect. And also during the main phase quick effect, you can actually treat a Generaider monster to be able to special summon a level 9 Generaider monster with a different name from your deck, which is great to instantly put a Generaider monster on your side of the field and get an additional boss monster on the field. We then play 3 copies of Diviner of the Herald. Diviner of the Herald is one of the best normal summons in the entire build. If this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase this card's level by that monster's level until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to be able to use with our copy of Trias because if this card is tributed, you can actually special summon a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck, except a copy of Diviner, which is great to be able to help us go in for Baron de Fleur because a card you're always sending to the graveyard off this card's ability is our copy of Trias. Trias can then tribute your copy of Diviner to special summon itself back from the graveyard. Then Diviner will go off and actually let you special summon a copy of Booten directly from the deck, which is cool to be able to do to instantly get you 2 monsters on your side of the field, one being a level 9, one being a level 1, and one being a tuner to help you go in for a copy of Baron de Fleur, which is just amazing to be able to do in this deck. And your copy of Diviner is basically a 1-card Baron, which is so cool for this deck to be able to do, to go ahead and establish a copy of Baron to make sure your copy of your field spell boss stage is gonna go through. We then play 3 copies of Kashtira Fenrir. Fenrir is just amazing because if you don't control a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field. It spot removes cards off the field and can search additional copies of itself, which is just really good to be able to do in this deck. But if you don't want to play Fenrir in this deck, you can change it out for 3 other hand traps. But this card is amazing, especially since usually we either establish a copy of Baron on our side of the field, or maybe even a copy of Leviathan on our side of the field, and then activate our copy of Boss Stage and pass, so you can special summon this card out first to be able to establish a board, which is just really nice, and make sure that you have a really good card on your side of the field to make sure that you're going to have follow-up during the next turn. But you can change it out for 3 other hand traps if you want to. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's a definite 3-of in the build just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is definitely a 3-of as well in this deck, basically just to stop your opponent's monster effects. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, guys, we're going to start off with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is very important in the deck as a 1-up, just so that we can get to our field spell Generaider boss stage. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is very important in the deck as a 1-up, just to make sure that you're not getting hand-trapped while you're going through all of your plays. We're then playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Triple Tactics Talents is really good because just in case your opponent activates a monster effect during our main phase, we get to draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at our opponent's hand, choose 1 card from it, and shuffle it into the deck, which is really good just to deal with basically our opponent's hand. And this card is just amazing as a 2-of in the build. We're then playing 3 copies of Generaider Boss Stage. Boss Stage is the entire deck, and this card is the most important card in the entire build because once per turn, if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon a Generaider monster from your deck in defense position. Basically, if they draw a card for their draw phase, you get to special summon a Generaider monster from your deck in defense. And if you special summon a Generaider monster during your opponent's turn, except during the damage step, then you can special summon as many Generaider tokens that are fairy, light, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase, even if this card leaves the field, which is a really cool effect to basically just swarm the board with all sorts of tokens on your side of the field that your opponent's going to have to deal with. We then play 3 copies of World Legacy Monstrosity. Monstrosity is so good in this deck. This card is basically E-Telly for the deck, but it lets you activate one of these effects, either special summon a level 9 monster from the hand, or target a level 9 monster you control and special summon from your deck 2 level 9 monsters, each with different original types and attributes from that face of target monster, and with different names from each other, but these 2 monsters cannot attack and also destroy them during the end phase, but it helps you instantly go in for a rank 9, which is really cool for this card to do. We then also play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is great as a 3-of in the build, just to help you dig into the deck for the exact card that you need, especially since we don't need the entire extra deck. This card just helps out a lot to help you with the consistency of the build. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Generaider Boss Fight. Boss Fight is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card helps you instantly get to your field spell and makes your opponent draw a card so that you get your copy of your field spell to go off. I really like this card as a 1-of in the build because it just helps out a lot in the deck. We then also play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good just to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps, which is really nice. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. And before we get into the extra deck, guys, make sure that you do have tokens for your Generaider deck, because you're going to need tokens for boss stage. So make sure that you have any 5 tokens that you can use for your boss stage to be able to summon out your tokens to your side of the field. Usually you're just going to summon out 4 to your side of the field, but make sure that you have 5 just in case. And it's really important to have these to make sure that you have them so you can put them out on the field for your copy of boss stage for our field spell. So, for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with Leviathan. Leviathan is a crazy, powerful boss monster and just such a cool card to help us go in for our copy of Jormungandr while also eating cards off the field. This card has the ability that you can only control 1 copy of this card, and monster your opponent control lose 1,000 attack and defense. In quick effect, you contribute this XZ summon card to special summon a non-fairy Generaider XZ monster from your extra deck, and then attach cards from any field and or graveyard to that special summon monster up to the number of materials this card had, which you can put 2+ materials on this card, but you're usually just gonna put 2 materials on this card anyways. So this card is just really good to be able to put on your side of the field so you can summon out your copy of Jormungandr. Jormungandr is really good because this card has the ability that you can only control 1 of it, and this card's original attack and defense become 1,000 times the number of materials this card has. In quick effect, you can actually detach a material from this card. Each player draws a card, and then each player attaches a card from their hand or field to this card as a material, which is a great effect for this card to just start gaining materials. But I love the combination of Leviathan plus this card, because Leviathan is just going to eat 2 cards and then make Jormungandr. Then Jormungandr is going to make both players draw a card and then attach a card to this card, essentially eating 3 of your opponent's cards, which is just super cool. We then play 2 copies of Interblafnir. Interblafnir is really good because this card has 4 amazing abilities that once per turn you can detach a material from this card to activate one of these awesome 4 effects. Either banish a card that your opponent controls, non-targeting, banish a card from your opponent's hand at random, banish 1 card from your opponent's graveyard, or banish the top card of your opponent's deck face up, which is insane because you can actually make 2 of these in a turn and then make F0, which is just absolutely insane with the right setup to basically just use those abilities and eat 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. This card is insane to be able to play in the deck, and basically these are the important cards that you need to be playing in the extra deck. We then play a single copy of Earthslicer. Earthslicer is a really good utility card in the deck because you can detach any number of materials from this card and then target that many cards on the field and destroy them, which is just really good to spot remove cards off the field. Play a single copy of the Sacred Tree Beast. This card is just insane because it is a walking negate, which is really nice. Play a single copy of 9 Lives Cap. This card is also really good as a one of them build, as your opponent cannot target other monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard with card effects, and you can also detach a material from this card and then target a level 9 monster in your graveyard or a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it, which is a really neat ability. We then play a single copy of F-Zero Utopic Future. This card is great to be able to make our copy of Utopic Draco Future, which is just an awesome walking negate that your opponent is going to have a hard time dealing with. It can actually take control of the monster that it negates if it's on the field, which is just an insane ability. We then play a single copy of AA Zeus just to be able to board wipe the field, which is really nice. 1 copy of Typhon because you can make it at any time, which is just insane. This card just belongs in just about any deck, which is insane to be able to just make this card. If your opponent special summons basically 2 or more monsters in the extract that turn or the following turn, you can make this card, which is just crazy. Plus it spot removes cards off the field. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur for the Diviner play, and this card is really good to be able to make because it does, as it is a walking gate and it does pop cards on the field, which is really nice. And then finally play a single copy of Elder Entity Nis. Elder Entity Nis is great because this card does pop cards on the field, so just in case you need to, you can normal summon out your copy of Diviner and then send this to the graveyard since it is a fairy to pop a card on the field, which is really cool to be able to do. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Generaider before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially this build. I've been working on it a lot recently, and it's just a really fun deck overall. I absolutely love Generaider because it's just a really cool deck that basically focuses around boss stage to be able to get your boss monsters out on your side of the field, and plus, all the boss monsters just look super cool. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.